Welcome to the Film Garage 208 podcast. My name is Sarah, and this is Daniel.
Hello.
Hello. Today we have with us, Laziah and Natasha. They are Synergy Home Care. Thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, we're really excited to be here.
So before we dive into more about you guys, tell us, what is Synergy Home Care?
Oh, I love that question. Well, we have a dream that people who live by themselves will be able to stay independent and have the support that they need in order to do that. Sadly, life happens to all of us. We get old, or we get sick, or we get hurt. And so then we need help, but we all naturally want to be independent.
Sure.
So Synergy Home Care is all about supporting that, helping people to stay independent, either at home or with their family or in an assisted living facility, but being able to still do what they love to do and be themselves. So that's what we're all about.
That's really cool. So it's not just like medical related home care. It's home care in general.
That's right.
Okay.
In fact, we are strictly non-medical home care. I do have an RN background, but we really wanted to support the non-medical need because in our community, we actually have really good support for medical at-home care. We've got excellent home health organizations. The world has started to be so much better with telehealth. So people are having those supports. But people without family or people who just would like to be independent on their own terms, there's less of a ability to meet that here in the area.
For sure. I didn't even realize that was a possibility. I know people who could use that.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just it.
What kinds of things does that look like that you guys typically do?
Oh, yeah. Laziah, maybe you want
Yeah, so we, the way I like to put it when I'm kind of getting families ready to get signed up with us is we're kind of like personal assistants, right? So, and that's just kind of everything that's non-medical we can do. So whether it's anything from like light housekeeping to transportation, anything in between,
Is it like emotional support?
It can be. Yeah. We have some clients that just don't want to be alone all day. And so a caregiver will come and maybe remind them to take their pills or maybe make sure that they've had a good breakfast and then spend some time hanging out with them. What do you want to do today? Oh, you want to work on this project? Well, yeah, I can help you with that. Or if they love to bake, well, here, let's bake this, and I can help with the cleanup, and I can help, you can't see the recipe very well. Let me help read it to you.
That's
all
great.
kinds of things that people love to do every day.
Yeah.
So you said your background was an RN initially. How did you bridge the gap into what you're doing now?
Oh, I love that question. I used to work as a home health nurse.
Okay.
And I had such good experiences. I really loved, I worked also as a nurse in the hospital, and I loved helping people there. But when I worked home health, I realized I love helping people to be in their home because that's where people are so comfortable. That's where you're more likely to get to really know them. And when I worked as a home health nurse, I really loved that work, but I got a little frustrated too because I could see that some people needed more support than I could give as a nurse. I had limits on what I was allowed to do in the home. I could only spend a certain amount of time there.
I see.
And I wanted to help meet other needs. There was one example that one day I went out to take care of a gentleman who had just had a knee surgery.
Okay.
And a knee replacement surgery is, it's not an easy surgery to recover from. It takes several weeks. And he had nobody helping him.
Oh, no.
And he had run out of his pain medication. He had nobody fixing him food. He had no way to get to the store. He couldn't drive.
Yeah.
Wow. And he didn't even know who he should call about his prescriptions.
That's so hard.
It was so frustrating.
Yeah.
He was ticked off. He was mad. He was grumpy. So anybody that came in, he would just be rude to them, and then they'd want to leave right away. And I was only assigned to him once, but I was like, I can't just come in here and be here for 30 minutes. So I called and found out, okay, where's his pain medication filled? And let me go pick it up and drop it off.
Yeah.
And let me make sure that you've got what you need and fix him some food. And it was it was not a big deal. But a lot of people, like when I stopped and talked to the doctor's office and said, could you just refill that prescription and talk to the pharmacy? And if I can't pick it up, then have it delivered.
Yeah,
They were like, why are you doing this? None of the other home health nurses do this. The family members do this. And I said, well, he doesn't have any family. And nobody's taking care of him. So he needs some extra help.
Yeah.
And that was one of those moments where I felt like I want to do this more. I have good expertise and good skills, but so many people need simple things done.
Yeah.
And that makes such a difference in their healing.
That's interesting that that's not a practice like for that. That makes sense, but
yeah.
It seems like obvious, but
yeah,
obviously not.
Well, people forget that that the hard work of healing is usually not done by practitioners. You know, the doctor doesn't come in and make sure that you've eaten today.
Sure.
Even the nurse, you know, they might come in and say you need to have a healthy diet, but they won't stay and fix you a grilled cheese sandwich. You know, they have other things to do.
Yeah.
And so that that care is almost always overlooked, and a family member is expected to jump in and help. And fortunately, so many people here have good family support, but there's a growing gap of people that don't have it.
Totally.
Yeah. So. Well, even people that have family support, but then, I mean, you get two grandparents that are getting old and they want to help each other, but they might not be able to. And like, it's a lot to put on a family. Like, not that they don't want to help, but like they have lives too. And
that is
it's
so
just like
true.
the reality.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the biggest thing too that we've noticed that we run into, and I think at Synergy, a big thing that we like to pride on is keeping family, and caregivers. So when a family member, so when a family member steps in to help, it gets, you know, truth of the matter is it's kind of in the dark, but it gets exhausting.
Yeah, no, my relationships can get stretched.
Yeah.
my grandfather passed away a few months ago, and towards the end of his life, it was that exact situation where they could have used exactly what you're talking about, just someone to be there, because my grandma was just annoyed with him, and
but
like,
she just couldn't do it either. Like she too. Like she
exactly.
needs care.
But it was that like not wanting to get the help, or I don't know. I guess
the
it was
resistance.
Just wanting it to just be family helping. Where it was like, if you would have just did what you said, kept family, and just got a caregiver, it would have lightened the load for everyone.
A lot.
Yeah, and respite care is huge. Something that we've noticed growing. It is exactly stuff like that. I mean, it's a lot more common than you think, and the fact that you know, being able to visit your grandparents, or being able to visit mom or dad, or you know, sister and brother, or even, you know, whoever the case may be, to be able to go there and visit them and have that time to spend. We had a client who loved having her daughter there, but the daughter was feeling frustrated because they used to go get like nails done on Tuesdays and their hair done on Thursdays, but they weren't able to do those things because of the time it was taking to do pill runs and grocery running and laundry. So by the time Tuesday and Thursday come, the daughter was just wore out, and she just couldn't do it. So the mom felt like she didn't want to spend time with her, so it was hurting her emotionally. And so I'm really glad that we ended up meeting that particular family, because we were able to jump in and
literally that.
So I guess kind of like in what I was mentioning, with when you have situations with resistance from families, or I guess I don't even know if it's resistance, but just not reaching out to look for that. Like, how do you get into or find those people? Is it just word of mouth, or?
Oh, that's a good question. A lot of people don't realize that there are organizations like ours to support. And to be honest, you know, if let's take this different example, right? This is the opposite. If a couple is going to have a baby, they're so excited, and there's so much support, right? There's books they can read, there's blog posts, there's articles, everybody has advice about how to be ready for this baby. But when you're aging, or when you get sick, or when you become disabled in some surprising way, there is very rarely much good information. And a lot of it comes from like a doctor who's going to give you information about a diagnosis or a prognosis, but not tell you about the everyday obstacles you're going to face. And so families don't know what they're up against. They don't know what to expect. There's
like the literal getting from the car to the house. Like,
Yes. If you were a new mom and you had a baby in a car seat, you would be able to talk to other moms and be like, how do you get them into and out of the car? There'd be support. But when you have a mom with dementia who no longer remembers where we're going or why we're going there, that is a whole other ball game. And how to deal with that is not very well understood because it's just such a big unknown. So many times people go into these situations and they do their best and they try their best and they give of themselves and give to try to make it work. And it's usually when they're sort of at their breaking point that they're like, I can't do this anymore. I need help. I need support. And then they might reach out to a family member or a coworker or Google and say, I need help for my aging parents. I need help for my elderly family. I need help for my brother who has this, who's now disabled, and then they might find us, which is really, really like it's a real payday for me when we can go into a family situation and say that, I know you're going through something hard. Let us help you. We can help you.
Yeah. So what does that like onboarding look like? It probably every situation is different, I'm sure.
So we usually start with, so anytime we get some type of interest, they'll reach out, and usually I'll be the first person they come in contact with, or if they call the office, Natasha, and we have a wonderful office team. But basically somehow they'll get in contact with me, and then I'll figure out kind of what day works best for them, and kind of when they're needing care. And then we do what we call a home assessment, or like an intake, where we'll go and we'll meet with them. And then we'll figure out kind of we call it a client plan of care.
Yeah.
Where we'll just kind of figure out what they're looking for, what they need. And then, we go over our numbers and figure out what's going to be best for them, and get started as soon as they're ready.
What do numbers look like for that? Obviously, like if
is this something that goes through insurance?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good question. I wish that insurance would cover it, but a lot of times insurance companies don't. We work a lot with the VA though, because the VA will cover our services most of the time. I mean, it just kind of depends.
Yeah.
We've gotten really good. Laziah here has gotten so good at helping people navigate that process of, yes, I'm a veteran, but I'm not using veterans benefits. Well, Laziah is like a bloodhound on trying to figure that out. And figure out
That's
the best
awesome.
way to help.
Get those benefits. Use them for what you did.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing in the VA is we've gone to multiple vet meetings, if you will, and a lot of vets just don't know the benefits that they have, and it's sad to see because especially with all the vets have done, and then they just don't have that option to see what's out there. So in my position of doing what I've been very grateful and blessed to have an understanding about what they've done and how we can help them and how to navigate and how to help them determine what benefits they need when they need them. And just, I think for me, seeing the light on their face of like, there is help, I can get some help, is what makes a difference.
And you know who to call.
So do you guys work closely with, like, do typically families have an RN that comes in also at a separate time than you?
A lot of times.
If that happens, do you like work with them at all to like, I'm picking up the pills and making sure that she's giving the pills?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, because of my background, it's been really easy for me to reach out to the home health and say, I totally speak your language. I know I know who I need to contact if maybe they need help. Oh, I noticed that their strength is declining. Can we do physical therapy? Is that an option?
That's great.
Yeah, right though.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so I know what to say when I call the home health, or if this happens a lot, somebody's dealing with something medically that they've never dealt with before, and they don't even know what to say to their doctor. And I can say, okay, try saying these things, because that is language that the doctor will really pay attention to.
Yeah.
And then you might get the results that you're wanting. Maybe they want home health, but they don't know how to ask for it, and they've been declined in the past. And you could say, you know what? It's physically taxing, for my spouse to get in the car and come to a doctor's appointment. He's exhausted just getting in the car and then getting home, the day's shot. This is physically taxing. That is the definition of needing home health.
Okay.
So it's been really great to be able to have that background so that I can share that information with families so that they can work better with their medical personnel.
Yeah.
Because their doctors don't want to prevent them from getting the care they need. They just may not understand that they really need it.
So is that a way to get the health care then properly, by talking to your doctor and making sure they know those things?
Yes. If you wanted home health, then that would have to be a doctor's order.
Okay.
Our care is not, because it's not medical.
I gotcha.
A doctor can't order it. Otherwise, it would probably be covered by insurance.
Sure.
So we do encourage them that if they have medical needs to reach out to a home health provider, and then we work really closely with them.
Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah.
I'm like, mental note, grandparents.
Yeah, it's like a big part of what you're doing is just educating people on not waiting to get to your breaking point to need you.
Yes.
Just do it sooner.
Yeah. That's
I assume it's probably a guilt thing. People probably don't want to do. They're like,
I just don't think people knew this was an option because we have a scenario. My grandparents are declining and they could potentially use some home help in the
where
care.
it's not like an actual RN, but just what exactly.
Because it's like we don't want to put them in a home. We don't want to put them that's not. They don't want that,
they're
But it's like, but we need something. Something.
Yep.
And I just didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this with my family, and I don't think anyone's even realized it was a thing.
Yeah. It's really a growing industry.
Yeah.
People are needing it so much more because the population is aging.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of the baby boomers had fewer kids. And so now more of the responsibility is on fewer people.
That's what it is right there.
And it's really hard to carry that. If you had 8 siblings to share the responsibility with, well, that would be a lot of fun, but it would also take some of that responsibility off of you. But a lot of boomers had fewer kids. And so you've only got maybe 2 siblings, or maybe it's just you.
Yeah. That's an interesting point too. That's a good point.
Yep.
Well, I think a lot of the times too, you get these home health and hospice companies, and most of the time they're there to do a specific job, whether it's change a bandage or help shower or something like that, and then their job's done and then they're out.
Yeah.
And, after that there's no
transactional.
Yeah, there's no kind of backup. So being able to work closely with them and then come in on the back end and be like, have you eaten today? Because
I really like that.
We still bathe and shower, and we do medication reminders and things like that. But and don't get me wrong, I mean, we've worked very closely with all the home health and hospice companies in Southeast Idaho, and so not that they don't do their job, but they have a specific job that they do, and so that we can kind of come in and help on those days that they're not there, or some of the things that they might not be able to do, and it kind of what separates both businesses.
Yeah.
No, they're two totally different things.
I like the emotional aspect that you're filling that need.
Yes.
That's a huge part.
Well, and what we've learned in doing this is that loneliness has become a real epidemic here in America. And many, especially the elderly, are very vulnerable to that they are not able to physically get out like they used to, or they're scared to drive. And so now they're stuck at home, can't see their friends and family. I mean, you remember what that was like during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And doesn't all that increase your odds of getting things like dementia and
yes, and heart attack and stroke. Yes, all of loneliness is as bad for your health as cigarettes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So being able to reach out and know that there's somebody there is so reassuring. It reduces the cortisol levels in your body. It helps you to feel, instead of more stress, you feel, oh, okay, I've got support. I've got a network. I've got friends or people that can help me. Makes a big difference.
That's huge. That's really huge.
When you send people out, is it typically the same person with the client, or does it change?
Oh, that's a really good question. We try our best to keep the caregivers as consistent as possible because people like to build relationships with each other, and that makes such a difference.
Yeah.
But it also just depends on what the client needs. If, for example, they need care every single day, then we're going to need more than just one more than just one caregiver.
Yeah.
Or if they need long hours, then we have to break that up amongst several caregivers. So we try our best to keep it consistent. But of course, we always have to be flexible. And that's one thing that can be difficult is being flexible when you've made these good relationships.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm sure as a company, since that's your main goal is to provide that like emotional support part of it, they know what to expect. So it's not like they're getting a nurse that could come in who's like just fast and grumpy that day or just getting through it. Like you're always getting the same treatment, I guess, no matter who it is.
Yes. That's one thing that we've really tried to encourage with all of our caregivers. We tell them that you have both a task and a relationship. And if you're only focused on tasks and no relationship, well, nobody's going to want to work with you. I mean, yes, you got stuff done, but that's really, the person will feel like a number. They won't feel important. But if you only focus on the relationship, well, then we might not be helping them as best as we could. So we want to make sure that we're meeting both of those needs, both the task and the relationship.
Yeah. Do you have regular trainings with your people who go out?
Oh, yes. Yes, we need to. We have such excellent caregivers. They're fantastic, but we do have to check in regularly, partly because this is a hard job.
Yeah.
Right, check in on them.
Just mental touch base.
Yes. And to be honest, when I was in nursing school, I did a job like our caregivers are doing now. And the office never checked in with me. They just kind of assigned me to somebody and I was like, okay, have fun with them. And that was isolating too. It was a discouraging place to work. So when we started this, I did not want that environment. I wanted our caregivers to feel just as cared about as our clients felt.
Totally.
Because I knew that I wouldn't want to work somewhere where I felt like I wasn't important.
Yeah, that would be really weird to just like go out and then never see your coworkers, I guess.
Right. It's really isolating.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yep.
If anything, that seems like you should really have follow up after. To like
Yep. So we do
debrief a little bit.
We do. We call them after they've met with a client for the first time and we just say, how did that go? Was that a good fit? Did you get along well? Was there anything that worried you? Did you notice anything that made you feel uncomfortable, that maybe they wouldn't be the best client for you? We have those conversations with them every time they have a new client. And then we check in routinely, like, how are things going for you? Is the number of hours you got a good balance? Is this working? Is there anything that we need to change? So that I think makes a big difference in helping them feel like they're valuable because they are. I couldn't do this business without their help.
Yeah.
So I need to take good care of them too.
Yeah. We need them to stick around because then the patients are going to like them and they'll be sad that their person's gone.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Well, and picking the caregivers has been huge for us too, which is why I think Natasha has done a great job. Her and Emmanuel, they've done a great job about running the business to where our caregivers love working for us. They want to work for us. And I got to give all of our caregivers a shout out because really short story, I am not a caregiver. I'm just going to come right out flat and say that. It's a tough job. So we had an instant
where... Have you tried it?
So, it would be hard.
I'll tell you this. So we had an instant where it was 2 or 3 24-hour clients come on same day.
Wow.
Like it was a lot.
It was.
Oh my goodness.
It was a lot. And so our caregivers, I think the max that we've ever had was like 12-hour shift is what they've put out. Because we got to give them that rest too. So it was like a one-time thing where I had to fill a shift, and so I ended up going to fill the shift and. He was, our patient was bedbound. So,
did you have any experience before this, or was it just like what you've heard of?
Just kind of what I heard of, but he was really an easy client. He's bedbound, but he was still very vocal and talked. And sometimes he needed water, sometimes he needed a juice. So I was like, no big deal, not a problem at all. Yeah. So I showed up, and he ended up needing changed. And I've never done that before. So I texted us. I was like, hey, we have a real problem here.
No, literally. I'm like, where do we start?
Yeah, I was like, we have a serious problem. So I felt super bad because Natasha ended up coming out at like midnight to come help me. But I was just like, this is not for me, guys. So
did you even attempt it or
No, I can't do it. That's one thing that I can't do. And it's funny because they were like, well, you have.
Did he tell you, or did you just know? Like you smelt it.
He told me. He was like, hey,
he's like, this is happening.
And then you were like, hey, it's not happening.
And the poor guy, he was embarrassed. He didn't want to ask for help, but he needed help. He couldn't get up.
And I felt even worse about it because, like she was saying, like I know it took him a lot to tell me, like, hey.
Yeah.
And it was, he was working with another home health and hospice company, and he was like, they haven't been here for a while. And so I just, their last shift was at, I remember what time, but there was a couple hours in between, and just it was at that time that's
I've never even thought about that. So if you have like an RN that comes at a scheduled time and you can't change yourself, you just have to wait for them?
Well, so actually RNs very rarely change. I mean, they can. If you have a hospice RN, then they are capable of doing that. And oftentimes a hospice company will also have a CNA, that's called a certified nurse assistant, to go out and perform those jobs, like giving them a bath, helping them change their sheets, things like that.
Yeah.
That requires a little bit more training than a family member would have.
Sure.
But the hospice company hadn't been out.
Yeah. Wow.
And this guy really needed 24/7 care. He couldn't get up and get around. Yeah. So, I mean, I felt so bad the next day when I was like, Laziah, I'm really sorry that we put you in that position. That was not what we expected. After that, we had a better system.
Of course, that happened on his first time.
Oh. Yeah. Well, and like I said, he was probably one of our funnest clients.
Oh, yeah.
He was great. He was a vet, so it took us a long time to get him. I mean, it was when I kind of had first started, so I was learning the game on how it works to get our vets into the system and how we can get them benefits. And and then as soon as we did, me and him and just became, pretty close. And that's the beauty about this job, is to be able to build those relationships because, when he had passed, his son had come down, but his son, I had talked to his son multiple times. He had met Natasha. And I mean, his son had just, left probably one of the best reviews you can get from someone. And just
good, made an impact.
Yeah,
a positive impact.
That was good. I think that was probably what made me feel a little bit worse, because I had that great relationship with him that I was like,
it helped break the ice quick, I'm sure, though.
I was like, I love you, but
real close.
Yeah. I was like, I love you, but that's just not for me, Natasha.
It's good to know your limits. You have to know what you can and can't do.
And that's one thing that we, even with our caregivers, we strive on to, is just asking them, at least to start, like, what are you comfortable with and what are you not comfortable with? Because for me, let's say I just had been like, you know what, I'll try it, and then I just didn't clean it properly, or I didn't set something up right, it could end up hurting him worse than
that's true.
If I had known what I was doing. So not only is it just not for me, but I was just like, hey, we're gonna have to have somebody
it wouldn't have been safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's really that's cool. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. That is like a big job for caregivers to have.
It is. We have different levels of caregiver abilities.
Yeah.
So some of our caregivers are really willing and really great people to work with.
Okay.
And they know some things really well. They know how to clean really well. They're good cooks. They've learned how to iron. I mean, how many people in today's generation need ironing? Not very many, but a lot of the elderly still like ironing, right? So we have that level of caregiver ability, and then we have higher levels. So people who would be comfortable with showering or helping someone get to the toilet, or helping them to have, like, if they weren't able to get up, are able to change them while they're in the bed. Those different levels, and we're always trying to encourage our caregivers who are less trained to become more trained. And I love that we can help with that.
No, that makes sense. I didn't even, because that makes sense that you have the lower level where it's like, they just need some more help around the house.
Exactly.
Like, so this caregiver can just, be a good cleaner. Whereas not needing to be like the best at changing clothes.
Yep.
Okay.
So I was going to ask you, where do you typically find your workers? Like, what backgrounds do they usually have? Since they don't have to be a certified nurse.
Yeah, that's a good question. We have, I would say that we have a couple of different kinds of caregivers. Some are people who are young, maybe just out of high school, trying to perform a job that has meaning to them. Like, that's one thing I love about our caregiver team, is I would say that 100% of them are doing this job because they love to help people. That's such an important part of the interviewing process, that if that's not their motivation, we really actually don't want them on the team.
Totally.
So if you've got somebody who's, young, figuring out their life, what are they going to do? Are they going to go to college? They know that they like helping people, then this is a really good spot for them.
Yeah.
And then we also have people on our team who have been doing it for years. We have one caregiver who's been doing it for decades, and she's so good. She's seen everything and just loves helping people and gets a lot of satisfaction out of it. So would want to do this job over any other, even though it's a hard one, even though it's demanding and can be so draining. That's what she wants to do. And it's wonderful to have her, because she's great to work with.
Yeah. You definitely have to have passion for people and wanting to help people.
Yes.
Because you can like feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was when I gave birth in the hospital, and it was the nurses were like travel nurses, and they weren't that nice to me. Where I was like kind of hit or miss. I was really kind of surprised with my experience in the hospital, and like just the bedside manner of just like a relationship and being nice and like these hard moments.
Yes.
Where it's like, come on.
Yes.
A little sympathy here.
Right. It makes such a difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be fair to them, travel nursing's got to be the worst job
ever.
I
bet. But they were in Hawaii, so it couldn't have been too bad.
Oh, okay.
Literally, she's like, today's my last shift. And I'm like,
boo-hoo.
Yeah. You want to go surfing. I get it.
No, literally. Literally, though.
So do you do ads on social media or anything like that to just get your name out there?
Yeah. The awareness.
Yeah. So marketing is
sales or is social media, not the place.
Yeah, right.
No, sales is kind of like my background. I've been doing it for a while.
Okay.
Actually, before I got in this job, I was doing construction.
Okay.
I left construction because of the like physical capability of it, right? And then wrestling all through high school. Might not look like it now, but I did.
Right, you were a wrestler.
Yeah, yep. So doing that and then doing construction, I did sales and then construction and then back to sales.
Okay.
And so marketing is still fairly new to me. So you guys might have to be my tutors at some point. But yeah, so we do try and get as many ads out as we can. We do try and do as many events in the community as we can. So we just recently held a senior talent show that East Idaho News and Local News 8 covered. So
that's
it was
awesome.
Super awesome.
It was
really
so
cool.
much fun.
What did you see?
We seen some yodeling. We seen some knife making.
Wait, what did you say? Oh, you said knife making.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the residents, it was cool because if you outside looking in, some could be like, that's not really an act, but to her it was everything because she made pies.
Okay.
And so she brought a pie to the talent show.
No, that's a talent.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Because I can tell you right now, I can't bake to save my life.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it was beautiful.
it was. Yeah.
It's very beautiful.
And so to be able to be involved in something that gets them to feel young again is what really inspired us to do it. And we had so much good feedback. So we partnered with Brio Home Health and Hospice, which they were great to work with. So shout out to them. But the residents from all over Southeast Idaho. So I think we had 9 different assisted living facilities that were invited, and then some other senior apartments.
That's great.
Okay.
And everybody for the most part participated. So
Great.
they would bring their buses with the residents that lived there and pulled in, and it turned out way bigger than
a big gathering at once.
So this was like on stage, like one person on stage at a time got to show off. And
Yep.
That's so cool.
That's so great.
And so we anticipated it to be around.
Where did you have it?
At Fairwinds, Sand Creek in Idaho Falls. It's an
Okay,
assisted
like
living.
On Sunnyside.
Fairwinds.
Okay.
Okay.
So
venue center. I haven't been there myself.
Well, so it's
It's
actually
not a venue
it's just
center.
an assisted living facility.
Isn't that new? No, on Sunnyside.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah,
And
at
they
their
have
facility.
a nice big area of what they've done where we've done cute little concerts and things like that. They
Great.
could probably fit, 50 of their residents in there. And
Yeah.
it was
big. We didn't anticipate it to be that big, but by the time we had turned around, the hallway was getting full because there was no more room.
No way.
Yeah. And so
That's so fun.
it turned out to be big, and we had a lot of residents come to us and say, "Hey, next year we had people asking us I had a vet from Pokey that came down and was super excited that he had 2 of his daughters from Jackson, Wyoming come down just to watch him.
I love that.
And so, being able to get them to do those things, and I mean,
That's
he
good.
said he hadn't seen them in a while. And so to us, it was more, I guess, inspirational or inspiring to want to do those things next year. And actually we got
How'd you come up with that idea?
Yeah.
The talent show. That's great.
So we were trying to figure out I like to do little events, but then I like to try and do like one big event that makes a memory. And I wanted to do something that separated us from other events, something that we could continue doing every year that not just we can be involved in or our residents or our clients, but the community themselves. And
Totally.
we understand that people have kids, grandkids, they have kids, great grandkids. And so, I think being in this job and meeting all of these clients it's cool because you get to meet new people every day, and then you meet the elderly that are like, back in the day I used to do X, Y, and Z. You know,
bragging about everything.
Yeah. And it's just like you get to hear those things, and you're like,
I love it.
That is fantastic. But then giving them an opportunity to showcase that is what not only makes my day, but seeing how passionate they were about it or once were about it, is what was great. So the talent show,
it's a great idea.
Let's do it. And
I think it's so great.
Much
turned out to be bigger than we thought. So next year we'll.
So what time of year is that? When did you do it this last year?
It was just last week.
Last week?
Yep.
Oh, no
what
way.
Was your
okay.
favorite?
My favorite act.
Your favorite talent. I'm sure you had many. What was one that stood out?
I honestly loved hearing the piano playing. Because cool. I don't know. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And in my family, I have several musicians. And so, I was thinking, oh, this will be cute. Oh, they're going to go play the piano. They were so good.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed. They're sitting down, they're playing with no music, they're singing along. I'm like, that is really hard to do. I know that's really hard to do. And they're just doing this. Some of them I got a chance to talk to beforehand, and I would say, what song are you going to sing? And they're like, I haven't really decided. I think I'm going to sing maybe this, maybe that. And I'm like, you can just do that? I can't just do
you
that.
haven't even decided. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And they're not in like don't have anxiety.
Right.
Like they're like, I'm winging it.
Right. They were just
what
sharing
happens.
something. Yeah. It was so fun because. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was saying for a second, I swear we had Ray Charles up there. There was one guy that was on the piano singing with the mic, and I mean, he was
really good.
So
killed it.
It was so fun to listen to.
A lot of hidden talents came out that day.
Exactly.
Do you have video of this?
We do.
Yeah. Local News 8 was there.
That's great.
They took video of every act. So
that's awesome.
So that's great. That's good social content. Right?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
We're trying to get it on our social media too, so that everybody can see
enjoy it. Yeah,
we're in the process of kind of editing and then putting together one big thing.
For sure.
To release, but it was super fun.
It was fun.
I could see a lot of people participating in that.
Yeah,
like maybe who didn't even know, since you invited all like the homes and stuff and the groups.
Right. Yeah. I'm hoping that next year we'll be able to have it maybe even at a bigger venue, and
that'd be fun.
It's kind of a balancing act because with the elderly, they don't want to be out late. Mm-hmm. And you want, of course, it to be handicap accessible. Stairs are going to be a problem.
True.
So having it at Fairwinds was a great idea. It worked great for us. But if we want more community involvement, then we may have some other hurdles that we need to figure out.
That is true. That's kind of hard because I was just thinking like center stage theater, but then my dad took my grandma there and he was like, the stairs.
Right.
Like that was the one problem was just the stairs.
It's hard. It's a good experience though for us to look around at facility or at venues and say, I never realized that this would be so hard to get into. Until I'm thinking about how to get 50 seniors into it. Then you have to really think.
50 seniors. Yes. It's a battle on its own right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
A lot of different logistics than most people have to think about.
It was pretty fun. We kind of had like a walker valet thing going.
Yeah.
So they'd bring their valet.
Yes.
This is so fun.
They'd bring their walkers in, and then we'd help them sit down. And then we'd slap a sticky note with their name on it, and then we'd go park their walker
around the corner.
That was so funny.
Bring it back to them when there's
someone in like a suit, like taking it.
We should do that next
time.
This
is like TikTok material.
Seriously.
Are you guys on? Do you see TikTok? There's a bunch of like nursing homes and stuff that have some TikTok channels.
That's a good idea.
And they like have dance, like they enjoy themselves on this TikTok. I don't know. That could be like
we'll have to look it up. Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Make all your clients TikTok accounts.
There you go.
Right. So
I'm sure they would not balk at that technology.
Not at all.
That's true. They're like, how do I sign up for Instagram?
Yes. It was so funny this last weekend. One of my clients had a new refrigerator delivered, and it was a Samsung smart thing. I am not tech
the
savvy.
Smart fridges?
Yes. But he's like, how do I set the temperature on it? I'm like, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. I'm all helping him with his phone, helping him download the app, helping him set it. And it would have been really hard for him. I was so glad I was there when it was delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah, that made it a lot better.
That sounds complicated to have an app for a fridge, though.
Right. He wouldn't think about it.
Lot.
Yeah. Yep.
They need to have that as like a big warning for don't maybe a senior purchasing a TV or like a fridge.
Yeah.
They're like not user friendly for technology here.
Right.
Like your mom even.
Yeah, she probably should get a smart fridge.
No. And it was super easy once I'd like gotten the app downloaded, but even just getting it connected to his Wi-Fi and things like that. There were moments where I'm like, oh, we're going to have to call customer service. Nope, we got this. We can do it.
And so that's things that you can get help with in home care.
Yep, exactly.
The health home care, is that what they call it? What's the difference?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
If you said home health, then that would be for medical needs.
Okay. And then you're just
home care.
Home health. Yeah.
Do you ever do like, I don't know, if like families, just big families, or like they need help at home, like watering plants on the weekend, or is it like specifically elderly?
Well, we have wanted to work with families. Like, for example, we wanted to reach out to new mommies, because so often when you have a new baby, or if you're on bed rest, then you're really struggling with everyday things.
Yeah.
We found that they had a lot of family support already. So if they really, like, lots of times we would talk with them, we'd say, well, these are our services. This is what it would take to get started. And they'd look at the price tag and they'd say, I think I'm going to get over my social anxiety and ask my brother-in-law to help.
Yeah.
So that's what usually ended up happening.
I see.
And that's usually a tougher, I can say, so when my wife had our son, she stays home with him. She does really good stuff as far as like, you know, sleeping with him. But I can tell that like it's draining. You know, and obviously I can't speak.
You could use a break for a second.
Yeah, you know, I can't speak on being a mom, but it's like I know that, you know, but at the time that she took off to stay with him, that it was, you know, she'd wake up and I could see her eyes, you know, and I'm like, you okay? Or, you know, but just being able to, like, for us, it would, you know, kind of the market type would be to like, hey, look, if you need a few hours of sleep at night and you're okay, you know, bottle feeding or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, I mean, moms need it too. You guys go through a gruesome battle, and being able to understand that care was there is, you know, something that we wanted to dive in. But like Natasha was saying, it's not as common as probably
I know people
we would think so. But
do that. I've heard of. We have some friends who live in California, and they have a night nurse.
Right.
And so they had a night nurse for like a couple months, where I was like, oh my gosh,
that's nice.
That sounds amazing, because then she could go to sleep every night
and get a good night's sleep.
She would like do the dishes and take care of the baby. Like,
that's wonderful.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would have another child if I had that. It's just so funny.
Yeah, because those first few months are so brutal.
But then even the standards, it's like Korea. Is it Korea where they have, it's like 60 or 90 days where the mother is supposed to like stay at home. And it's like the mother-in-law is supposed to move in and take care of the baby and the mom.
That's so common in other countries. Yes. Yes. My husband comes from a different country, and there it's required that the brand new mother actually moves back into her mom's house.
Yeah.
And the grandma takes care of the baby and takes care of the new mom, and they'll do that for a good month, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Just to help the mom recover and give the baby a really good start. So,
So that's big.
Yeah, I agree.
People might do that around here. There's a lot of babies born around here.
There are a lot of babies born around here.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, though, just hard, because then they're going to have help or they don't have the money at the beginning.
Right.
It's true. It's
because
the money
they're young
families.
The cost of it is hard for them. A lot of the elderly, they're either they have prepared for when they're elderly and they have the reserve to draw on, or they have family members that are saying, either I take work off and help you, or I help pay for this care. And a lot of times they say it's more economical for me to keep working and to help pay for this care.
Sure.
So that's an advantage that the elderly have over the young family.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how long have you been doing this business here?
Oh, well, we opened this business in December.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And so it's almost a year. We're so excited. Thank you. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
But to say that we've done it all by ourselves, I can't take any of that credit. I mean, not only do we have a fantastic office staff, but we're also a franchise.
Oh, okay,
so if you were in another state, you would have heard of Synergy Home Care.
Okay.
But we are the first Synergy Home Care in Idaho.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So where can people go to get some help or like get some more information from you guys?
Yeah, so you can go to Synergy Home Care at Idaho Falls you can Google us. We're on Facebook. So like I said, marketing's fairly new. I'm getting into the process now of kind of getting all of our social media platforms started.
Sure.
But for the most part, I think that we've done some pretty well-rounded community events that our name is out there.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
some
so,
fun things,
and so like a lot of even home health and hospice, companies will, give us a referral and say, hey, we can't do X, Y, and Z, but we do know a company who can. Here's their card. So we've been pretty honored to work with those great companies that have been able to, throw us a few clients.
Yeah.
And if you go on our website, you can ask for a free home assessment. Just put in your information there and we can reach right out to you. Or you can always just give us a call. Our office line is always manned. Okay. So, I mean, even if it's the weekend or evenings, that's when a lot of people spend time thinking about, hey, I need to do something about this, but I don't know
Stuck
what.
in your thoughts at home.
Yes. So it's not unusual to get those late night calls or those weekend phone calls.
And you're there to answer them.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
What advice would you give to anyone trying to start their own business?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's a great question. I think one thing I would say is don't underestimate yourself.
Okay.
I honestly never would have started this business if it weren't for the support of my wonderful husband.
Mm-hmm.
When he and I heard about this opportunity to open this office, I thought, I could maybe do this. I think I could add some really great expertise to whoever is doing this. And he was like, no, you could do this. Mm-hmm. And I know you could do this. And I really thought, no, I can't. I can.
Why not?
Because a small business is not my background.
Okay.
He has run small businesses before, so it is his background.
Okay.
But for me, I love to work with people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love to work with spreadsheets. I love to talk with my clients.
Yeah.
I don't love doing the back end work that has to be done so that my caregivers can do a good job.
Yeah.
So that's something I've really had to learn, and it's been quite a growing process.
Sure.
But I think that it would have been, if I could a year ago have met the self that I am now, and that self could have said, you can do this, it would have made a big difference, because I really did struggle in the beginning with, I can't do this. This is impossible for me. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Imposter syndrome for you.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do it. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. I just had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned so much. And there's been such good support along the way.
Great.
So if I was talking to a new entrepreneur, I would say, you already have so much that you can offer. And the skills and the abilities that you don't have, that you feel like are your roadblock, you have the ability to get over those. You can learn what you need to learn.
Sure.
You can figure it out. So don't let that fear hold you back, because it would have held me back.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it still makes me feel like, I just don't know if we can take that next step.
Yeah.
But I have to face it with courage and say, everything is figure-outable. We can figure this out.
It's scarier to think, what if I don't take the next step?
Mm-hmm.
That's even scarier.
That is really true.
Someone else is going to do it before me.
I'm stagnant and never grow. And,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is really true.
That's true.
That's a good point.
Laziah, what advice do you have for someone marketing a new business like this?
Just keep trucking. Yeah. Honestly, at the end of the day, you've got to figure out a way to get your name out there, because that's going to make the biggest difference. And one thing I think I'm learning with marketing is, don't have the fear of if the video is going to go viral or not. Right? It's just for me personally, if I can get a video that has 2,000 views and only 50 likes, I know 2,000 people saw them.
That's great.
So that's just trying to be in my mindset, from outside looking in. But one thing I will say too is, ultimately, and not to get too crazy, but Natasha and Emmanuel have done a great job. Outside looking in as like an entrepreneur starting a business. I've had the opportunity, been blessed to watch these guys grow it. And a lot of the things that happen behind the curtain, with payroll and, trying to get the business growing and how it grows. I can say that any advice to somebody working with an entrepreneur is just have their back and understand that, what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish is something that you can be a part of. And I think that's what helped me want to market and become a better marketer and grow in this industry, is the opportunity and the potential that I have, or Synergy itself has, to make an impact on not just, Southeast Idaho, but obviously the other 420 locations that we have.
Yeah. Sure. It's so much more fun to get behind something that you're actually passionate about and care about.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, really good
Enjoy
advice.
Your days.
Yeah.
Great advice. Okay, so you said Synergy Home Care IdahoFalls.com?
Yep.
Synergy Home Care. And so I think it's synergyhomecare.com /Idaho Falls.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Or if you Google us, we have some good digital marketers, so we should come right up.
Cool.
Perfect.
Great.
Okay. If you made it this far, make sure and give them a call if you heard something you like.
Yeah.
I might have to spread the word. I know some people.
There's a lot of people out there.
There's a lot of people who could use this that did not know.
Yep. That is
really
true.
happy that we got
spread
more
the word to
information
your
on this.
families.
Spread the words to your grandpas. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
All right.